England, England, England. England, England, England. So, guys, man, we're here. Euros. We're building up for the Euros, man. And Southgate, Gareth Southgate, but really, Gareth Southgate, he has announced his team. His team has been announced, or rather, I believe his team has been announced, and we are going to try and react towards that team, man. So look, so obviously, before we bring this up and so forth, we've already had word, or we've had rumors around the campfire of the people that are going to miss the cuts. So I had Lingard, I had Alexander-Arnold. So those are two names. I believe 7 names need to be cut. There are 7 names that need to be cut, and I think that we're pretty sure that both Lingard and Alexander-Arnold are going to be the ones that will miss out, man. Forward, are you there? Is your mic working there, forward? All right. We'll wait until Ford's mic can be popping off and so forth. So yeah, man. So look, man. I said again, look, but before I pull this up, England could do something, you know. I mean, I think Reece James would have always been picked, but I think after Reece James did what he did in ACL final, huge. Mount was going to be a starter regardless. Okay, Mount was always going to start, but I think after that pass he made to Havertz, Mount is definitely going to be in that starting lineup. So, I mean, I feel that Ollie Watkins might be one to miss out. He might be one to miss out. And that's the real thing. I know he's going to be picked if it was me. If it was me. And this would be a big call. This would be a big, huge call. I wouldn't pick Sterling. If this is purely about the meritocracy and who has performed the best in the last 12 months or in this season, I wouldn't pick Sterling. I wouldn't pick him. Like that's just me keeping it to aside because he's just had a particularly bad season, you know. But I think for Southgate, he will say, well, maybe it's because of how he's being used by Pep. So he'll say, no, I know how to use Sterling. And I know that if I use him in my category and in the way that I roll, he'll be able to say, what's up, man? So, okay, I think, yeah, Red Devils should be coming in very soon. So let me just see whether I can actually pull up this England squad, man, because it should have been out now. So England squad. Oh, whoa, now they're saying Trent is said to be included. So now they're saying he's said to be included, man. So that's it. Why? Because I'm just looking at Sky Sports News now. Here we have it. Oh, yes, I think this is it. Yo, Red Devil. What's way there, bro? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. I'm here. Yeah, I've just seen it on Twitter just now.
Okay, yeah, I think I've got it as well. Let me see whether this is. I think this might be it. This might be it. Where are we at? Chrome tab. So is this it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Okay, let's go through. So keepers, we already knew about that. Trent makes it. So who didn't make it from the defenders? So Trent, Chilwell, Cody, Reece James, Harry Maguire,
Ben White, I think. Ben White isn't there, and I feel like there's another defender that's also missing from the previous, but I can't remember.
All right, so and then Bellingham, Henderson, Mounts, Phillips. Especially, I actually want to know who are the guys that actually didn't make it.
So definitely,
you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear now.
Nice.
So
Lingard isn't there. Lingard's gone.
Yeah, no, Lingard didn't make it.
Greenwood dropped out.
Also missing as well.
Oh yeah, Greenwood dropped out. Yeah.
Obviously,
Ben Godfrey at centre back.
Yeah, Godfrey was the other centre back. That was it. Okay. Godfrey and Ben White. So that's 4. There are obviously one keeper. There was, I think, 4 keepers. So
okay.
Yeah. Goalkeeper was Rams though when he's been left out as well.
Yeah, so basically they're not really that. It's no major removals, because Greenwood was obviously an injury thing that obviously forced his hand, but nothing major, you know.
No.
So look, when you look at this, see.
Oh, sorry.
This is,
Saka's in the squad.
Saka's there. He's there.
Saka's there.
Saka's there. So basically, when you look at the squad, as I said again, this is going to be about, there's the manager, then there's the talent, which are two separate things here. But one thing I will say is that I am happy that Jude Bellingham is in there. Now, I don't know that he's going to play or whether he's going to start him, but I think, because he's like 17 years old, you know?
He just turned 18.
He's just turned 18. Yeah. Look, do like, to ball like that against Man City in both legs in CL. That's what's up. That's what's up. So, but when you just look at those attacking options of Sterling, Sancho, Saka, Rashford, Kane, Foden, Grealish, I'm like, damn. But my thing is, who is the manager? Who is managing this whole thing? So let me come first to Ford. So Ford, you look at this squad. How are you feeling about the squad?
I think in terms of talent, as you said, it's a very, very, very exciting squad. A lot of young players, a lot of players who are coming off with really good seasons domestically for their club. And of course, you need players in key positions you can depend upon. And we've got one of the best strikers in the world in Harry Kane, if not the best striker in the world. So, yeah, a lot of promise.
Whoa. Better than Lewandowski and Lukaku and Benzema?
I said if not. Again, the argument can be made, certainly. I'm not going to make the argument for you right now, but you can make the argument Kane is the number one striker in the world. But again, to your point, it's a very talented squad, But it's just about the manager for me. That's why I can't get too overexcited, because as we've seen in the Champions League, you don't necessarily need to have the best squad to win. You need to have a manager who can get the best out of that squad. And is Southgate the guy to do that with this England team? It remains to be seen, but I think we should be excited for the football that we're going to be seeing, just based off guys like Grealish, guys like Foden, Jadon Sancho,
will they be allowed
Mason Mount,
to play that ball?
It's a lot of talent.
But listen, will they be allowed to play that ball though on the side? Because my thing is that I know because obviously we'll probably pull up like a formation creator and so forth, because I know how these guys should play. But we know what Southgate is going to do. But so let me come to Red Devils. Red Devils, you look at this squad, what jumps out to you, and what are your overall feelings? Manager aside.
Why has he taken 4 right backs? That's what I find is quite interesting. I mean, it's Trent, Kieran, Kyle, and Reece James. I know Kyle Walker can play as a centre back, but I don't know, maybe it's just excessive overkill. That's the first thing I was looking at. That's why I thought, Trent might be excluded, because like you're not going to take. I think we were on the channel like it's going to be between Trent or Reece James, because it didn't make sense. The Barry's taken 4 of them. It's like, okay, fair enough. So, but like I said, generally everyone is unaccounted for. I think that it's the midfield. You kind of, but even then, to be honest, I'm looking at the midfield and I'm like, there's a way that Southgate can play this where like this could actually work. This could be balanced. But is he going to go? Because my fear was always, because he played Eric Dyer in so many times in the qualifying stuff. Like Eric Dyer isn't in the thing, and playing Eric Dyer and Henderson double pivot, some of those boring football that I've seen from this England squad.
Yeah.
The fact that Eric Dyer's in the squad, you're thinking, right, so is he going to play Declan Rice and Henderson? But you have the options. You can go, so he's going to play Henderson, Declan Rice, and Mason Mount. Because we know Mason Mount's we know the GOAT of Chelsea FC. Your best player. He's got to be in the starting 11. It's irony that like he's now per the assist. He's pretty much basically cemented himself as a regular starter for England after what he's in the Champions League. So he's not given Southgate a choice really. So I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is that the midfield for me is what's interesting, because it could be brickish and it could you could set in a very purely defensive way, or this midfield could be adapted to be more attacking. Playing Bellingham, for example, obviously bringing Grealish back in. So yeah.
You see, because I'm just so yeah. So basically, so look, because we'll bring in a. I want to bring in the formation craze. So look, as I said again, man, it's the issue is the manager. Like I said again, one of my most exciting players to watch is Sancho. I think Saka is money. But actually, no. Let me ask you guys this. Would you, if you were a manager, would you still have taken Sterling based off the season that he's had?
For me, I wouldn't have taken him until I saw that Greenwood pulled out, and with Greenwood pulling out, there kind of wasn't any reason to not take Sterling. Again, with Sterling, it's more political why you would take him, because leaving out a name like Sterling is quite contentious. Obviously, you think of all the media attention he got last season with Piers Morgan and things like that. Again, for that reason alone, and maybe his influence on the dressing room, you would want to have somebody like that there. But for footballing reasons, yeah, I mean, it's clear that he should be a star, that maybe you get limited minutes off the bench.
But my thing before is that even if, you see, and here's the thing, people call me crazy. Even if Greenwood pulls out, I would have taken Lingard ahead of Sterling. If it's about meritocracy, I think that Lingard would give me more than Sterling, who I just think has just had a bad season. And I think it's too much of a risk saying that, oh, well, he's going to turn it on in the tournament despite having a pretty bad season. I mean, like...
No, I mean, there's an absolutely fair shout for that. I mean, if you look at since January, since Lingard signed for West Ham, I think he's third for most goals and assists in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But in the Premier League, and obviously Sterling in that time has been very poor, and that was kind of coincided with the time that he was benched by Phil Foden. So there's absolutely a great case for that. It's just, again, this is a 26-man squad, so that 25th, that 26th player isn't going to get many minutes. And how many minutes would Lingard have got ahead of the likes of Mason Mount or Grealish or Foden at number 10? Same with Sterling. For me, Sterling shouldn't get many minutes given the talent ahead of him.
I mean, I guess the only thing is that, like, again, I guess going to the formation he's going to play, if he's going to play a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3, whatever, that Sterling and Rashford are probably the only, in quote, left wingers that are there with those forwards, because everyone else is either a right winger or like basically like an attacker, really. Saka obviously plays on the right, Sancho plays on the right, Foden is kind of where Grealish is, Cam can possibly play on the left. So as a pure winger, Raheem Sterling is really, because to be honest, I love Rashford, but Rashford is, I actually don't even want Rashford to go to this because he has an injury and he's playing injured and he shouldn't really be playing. So it's actually frustrating seeing Rashford's name there, not because I don't like him, but because he's got an injury. So I'd actually rather play Sterling over Rashford for that reason. But like you said, guys, Lingard at Manchester United has played on the left wing before and can do that job as well. But I wouldn't, given the form, I'd rather see Foden play on the left, or maybe Grealish come from the left, and they played those positions, than see Raheem Sterling.
So you would still take Sterling then, based off his season?
I would have taken Sterling first because for me, Marcus Rashford is playing with an injury. So I don't think he's fit. I don't think he's ready. I think he needs to rest. So I would have just taken him for the sheer point that he's fitter and that there aren't really many other options. Essentially, I would have said drop Rashford and take Sterling and Lingard instead, because he's, like I said, he's injury prone. Well, he's injured right now.
So obviously the keeper speaks for it, because this is what we're doing with all of the squads. So I want to go from section to section. So keepers, it speaks for itself, is going to be. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Do you still go with Pickford or do you go with Dean Henderson?
Maybe that's a better question for Red Devils, just because obviously he's watched a lot of Henderson this season, and I'll just see from my two-piece, which is that I would have went with Pickford. So I would have went with Henderson just because I think he's a better keeper than Pickford. But showing how he ended the season with United, I think it's brought up quite a few questions. And again, if you're going off of experience, who were the defenders used to at England level? It's Pickford, because he played at the last World Cup. He's played most of the qualifiers. So maybe you go to experience, especially since Henderson didn't end the season in that greater form, despite picking up the #1 jersey from De Gea.
I mean, Pickford's form I think this season has been pretty awful, to be honest, in general. And the thing with Henderson, why I can over Pickford, and even over De Gea to an extent, is Henderson's distribution. Henderson's distribution is far, and every unbiased United fan, De Gea is a much better shot stopper than Henderson right now. But in terms of distribution, I think there was a good I know it supposedly went out. It didn't. But the goal against, I think, West Ham, when Pogba scored that from out, that came from Henderson. And he's done that. They haven't necessarily led to goals, but his distribution going out is a lot better than. So that's why I think that I would prefer him on top of his other attributes, because for me, Pickford. His positional sense this season has not been great at all. There've been a lot of goals he's conceded where you're like, bro, you need to kind of cover that post better. You need to be like centre. Like, not that Henderson is perfect, but in my expression, you know, his distribution is better, his positional is better than Jordan Pickford anyway. But Southgate is loyal, and obviously, as Forward said, Jordan Pickford has basically played with him, so I think he's going to go Pickford anyway.
All right, let's look at the defense now. So 3 billion right backs. Are you happy? Because see, I told you everything is flipped. Growing up in England always had a quality to defense, dodgy attack. Right now it's flipped because obviously the attack is now the strongest section they have. Defensively, I mean, what are we saying? I mean, Ford, what are we saying defensively? I think the flanks are good, but it's the central defensive partnership that I think is going to be tricky.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much answered a question that Red Devils asked earlier, which is, why have we got 4 right backs? Well, it is a position that we are blessed in. You could make the case that we have 4 of the top 7 or 8 fullbacks in world football, or at least right backs in world football. And again, we're only probably taking those 4 because we're going to play 5 at the back, which is something I disagree with. I don't like the way Southgate uses the 5 at the back / 3 at the back system. But it's clear that that's going to be the case. And we've seen, obviously, Walker and Reece James do well at right centre-back this season. Trippier is obviously pretty good going forward. I think Trent's amazing going forward, and it's probably better as a wing-back as opposed to a right-back. And for me, I would have only taken the 3 because I would play 4 at the back. Maybe go into a 5 if I'm trying to hold on to a game, but you don't need 4. Like, you just don't need 4, because I think we can all admit Walker and James are the best defensive right-backs in the squad. And you probably have Trippier just ahead of Trent, but in terms of what you need to win a tournament over 3 or 4 weeks, why would you need Trippier there when you have Trent, who can be an option off the bench? Like, if you're chasing the game and you want to make some attacking substitutions, and I believe there's going to be 5 subs available at this tournament, then you would have Trent as an option ahead of Trippier to come off the bench and try and give you something else, because you've already got 2 better defensive fullbacks in Walker and James. So, but then again, with the dearth of quality at centre back, especially with the injuries to Joe Gomez, the strange exclusion of Fikayo Tomori for some reason, then if you've got options like Cody,
I was just going to
say that if you've got guys like Cody and Ben White, then yeah, you probably only really need 3 centre backs because they're not of the caliber to be playing at the Euros.
Red Devil?
No, I was just going to say, just on Forward's point, like, he should have taken Tomori. He should have taken
100%.
Tomori.
Yeah, it's like 100%.
You know, I can't see how. I know he just went to AC. I mean, maybe this ties into Lingard thing where, like, okay, they just started balling from January because of the loans. So obviously Lingard went to West Ham in January.
But you need a central. Who will step in? So who's the other guy to step in if Maguire Stones is it Cody? Who's the other central defender?
Cody.
It could be Mings. It could be Tyrone. I mean, you know. Tyrone Mings is not a bad defender. Like he's sort of an Villa this season. So and I don't think he, considering. I mean, this is the comparative. We also have to understand, like, how many. Let me put it this way: in the context of the Euros, how many good country centre back pairings are you aware of? Because I'm not aware of many. Okay, maybe one team, like say Germany. Okay, Rudiger and Former, kind of like maybe one really good centre back. But even the French team, I'm like, Longley? Really? Longley? Really?
I think there are quite a few, to be fair. I think with France, it will most likely will be Varane, and then I mean they got options though, obviously with Zuma, Upamecano, obviously Titi. I don't know if he's in the squad, but they've got options there at centre back. Obviously Portugal, they've got Ruben Diaz and Ivor Font. If he won the league, he won the league with Lille in Liga, or Pepe. So there's other good centre back options there, partnerships there. I just think with England, it's not that great. It's certainly a weak spot.
I think that those teams mentioned, I can say that there's the one solid centre back, but I wouldn't necessarily say that like a centre back, like a world class, centre back pairing, like like he's mentioned, like say like Font, for example. I mean, okay, I'm not saying they're bad. But I'm saying the same thing with the England centre backs as well, where like I wouldn't necessarily say that likes of Tyrone Mings or Connor Cody are bad centre backs. Like, this is not like Phil Jones or even Banter John Stones back in the day. Like, the centre backs that he was in, that none of them are particularly world class, but I wouldn't say that these guys are trash, if it makes sense, or mediocre. They do a job, and depending on what's in front of them, that's where I think maybe like a Declan Rice or Jordan Henderson might be key, because depending on how, much like how, we say that, Fernandinho was crucial, for example, City, because although Diaz is solid, that we realize that Fernandinho needs to be there. So how Lampard, for me, sets up his midfield, I think will affect the defense, because I don't necessarily think that these centre backs are, what am I trying to say? Essentially, what I'm saying is, like, they're not bad, they're not garbage, but obviously they're not world class. They just need to know what's in front of them. That's what I'm saying.
So we look at the midfield. I think this is easily England's weakest point. That midfield I think that midfield can be, obviously, because I've put up a formation that I think England should play, and we'll see it afterwards. But I just think I'm looking at that midfield, and it can be functional. I really like Jude Bellingham. Mount, he's effective, and I think Henderson, all rights, can help to protect the defense. I mean, Phillips, I think that guy's just there to be on the bench. So, Ford, you're looking at that midfield as a whole. What are you saying?
There's good talent in there, but the way Southgate's going to play it, it's not going to be fun to watch. I think for most of the qualifiers that we saw against smaller teams, like he started Rice and Phillips as the pivot. Likely he'll be even as attacking as he'll get, will be starting Henderson and Rice. And again, my biggest issue with Southgate and this England squad is he's most likely going to go with 3 at the back. And for me, we've seen plenty of teams play 3 at the back in the Premier League, and I think a good example is Brighton. And when they play 3 at the back, they have Basuma and sometimes Solly Marcha, Alzate, or Lallana as the 2 in midfield. So, and it shows you don't need 2 massive DMs, defensive midfielders. You need at least one, if not both of them, who are good at progressing the ball, good at moving the ball forward. And I think in this squad, you could make a pivot of maybe Rice and Bellingham or Rice and Mount, and I think it would be a good partnership. But in front of 3 centre backs behind him to then play Henderson and Phillips, I just don't like the look of that. Or Rice and Phillips or something like that. I don't like the look of that at all. So yeah, man, I think there is decent talent in there, but the way Southgate's gonna use it is not going to be very beneficial for the attacking talent that we have.
Red Devil?
I know it's controversial. Well, no, it's not really controversial, but I know we'll get a lot of opportunities. I just think they should have taken James Ward-Prowse, man. Just for the free kick. He's the best free kick taker, in my opinion, in the Premier League. He is literally the best free kick taker in the Premier League.
Ward-Prowse, yeah.
At least, I'm not saying he's going to play
Who
every
is
game.
Calvin Phillips, though? Who is Calvin Phillips?
Leeds. I mean, Calvin Phillips has been solid for Leeds. He's a good player. He can pass the ball. He's decent. So I don't have an issue with that. But I would, so for example, I would have said, get rid of one of the right backs, either Trent or Reece or whatever, and then put in James Ward-Prowse.
I think it's a good shot because he offers something different. Like without Calvin Phillips, he isn't going to offer much that you won't get out of Declan Rice or Jordan Henderson. So it's a fair point. I do think that this England squad, he is good. He is good. He is good. And I think what this England squad does have compared to the last tournament is that it has more set piece takers. So maybe we just don't necessarily need Ward-Prowse as much, but certainly in terms of head-to-head against Phillips, I think he offers more that Phillips doesn't really bring to this England squad with the guys like Declan Rice and Jordan Henderson there. I will just add one thing, which is that this England midfield, this generation of England midfielders doesn't have a real controller in there, like a natural either deep line playmaker or somebody who's going to take the game for you.
Hence why it's very, basically, if I'm the manager and I see this has to be about get the ball from point A to point B as quickly as possible. So the ball has to be given to the attack as quickly as possible. So if you think about it, this is more of a counter-attacking team than a possession-based team. Obviously, if England play like a Czech Republic or so forth, or a Scotland, then you have to control possession. But I think this team's strength is get the ball as quickly to the attack as quickly as possible in key dangerous areas, and that is where England can hold guys, because you've got speed and you've got finishing and so forth in the attack.
To be fair, Calvin Phillips can progress the ball, I think, a bit more than Declan Rice. I'm not watching.
Jude is good as well.
Yeah. So I think that so I do think again, there are obviously better players in a sort of position, but certainly Calvin Phillips and to certain Jude, I think that they can do that where they can progress the ball forward and carry it. And certainly for Leeds, I think that without him in their squad, I don't think Bielsa's system works as well as it did. So this is something it's there in theory, but as Ford is saying, like Southgate's probably going to play either a back five or back three. So really, we're not even going to really play that. Really, I think we're gonna go down a sort of a defend deep, then like sort of hit on the break, counter-attack type sort of system. So we're not even going to. That's why I suspect he's probably going to play Jordan Henderson. Like if he's going to play back three, he'll probably play like a Jordan Henderson, Declan Rice in front of them, and then go from there. So yeah. That's what I think.
Just to add one final point on Calvin Phillips, I do think he is actually a really good midfielder. I think for Leeds he does excel and he does play more progressive passes. But it's just when I've seen him play for England in a double pivot alongside Declan Rice, it's just very safe. It's very I'm going to play 5 yards here, 10 yards here. Maybe the shirt's heavy for him, or just the fact that under Southgate he's not got that same.
Manager. It's the manager.
Yeah, it ultimately does come down to the coaching, and I don't think there's the same impetus on him to be more progressive with his passing like it is under Bielsa.
Yeah.
So finally, we now look at the attacker, man. And look this is probably the best attacking options I think England have ever had. Like England obviously had a really good midfield in 06 and so forth, but they flopped. They've always had a very good defense for a long time. But this is the first time where the options in attack are amazing. But if you look deeper, Sterling has not had a great season. Rashford, it's been on and off and so forth. Calvert-Lewin, is this a one-season wonder? But apart from those, I think Foden is quality. Grealish, I like Grealish a lot. Kane, you know what you're going to get from that. That guy is a goal-scoring freak. Saka, I think, is one of the best teenagers in the world, if not the best teenager in the world. And Sancho is Sancho, one of the most talented players in this team. So, you look at this attack, man, happy?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is France notwithstanding. For me, this is the best attacking talent in world football in terms of any international squad. I think it's got everything that you want. It's got a clinical goal scorer in Harry Kane. It's got even a target football. Man. Let me break it down for you, bro. Let me break it down because up front in Harry Kane, you got somebody who's clinical. Who guarantees you a goal from every 2 shots, if not even the first shot. You got a good target man in Dominic Calvert-Lewin off the bench. If you're chasing the game, maybe you want to put some balls into the box. You've got inside creative playmakers like Grealish and Phil Foden, both one right-footed, one left-footed. You've got an inside forward who can be direct and run at people in Marcus Rashford when he's on form. You've got obviously Jadon Sancho, who's another great creative player. Besides Bukayo Saka, who's another good left than France. I said France notwithstanding because I mean their options were a joke even before Benzema. Benzema went there and I think they just signed away the Euros. But again, them notwithstanding, I think you look at Portugal, pretty good. I think it is very good, but I think England's just a little bit better. Germany, I mean they got Werner in there, so that they don't count. There's some good talent out there, but I think this England team it's that attacking talent, bro. I mean, Foden, Grealish, Kane. I mean, look at the names, HH. That's amazing talent, bro. It's just whether we can find the right system to get it out of them. Exactly. And again, I think even with Southgate there, I still expect better football from this England team compared to recent England teams because, again, at the World Cup, yes, they got to semi-finals, and I think it was a very good achievement for that England team. But it was Dele Alli and Lingard. I don't think it was even as good a Lingard as we had now playing then, and the football wasn't as free-flowing. It wasn't as inspiring. But I think this England team, that England attack, can absolutely play inspiring football. So I'm still excited to see what they can do, even with Southgate as manager.
Red Devil, talk to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like just FYI, the squad numbers are out for the first 11. I think it's an interesting. If he plays 1, 2 to 11, I think you might. I don't think you can have many arguments with that first. If you go by the squad numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 11. So just when you do your prediction thing, anyway. As far as the forwards go, this is England's strength. It'll obviously be interesting to see. I suspect obviously Kane is going to obviously start. He will. Sancho will probably be on the right, and obviously have probably Rashford on the left. I'm almost 100% sure Rashford's going to play even though I don't want him. You already know that I'd rather Rashford not even be going to this tournament because, and I think that there's going to be a weakness in the squad. It's the fact that this guy has basically played non-stop since the beginning of August or something, kept them going, and he's just being mismanaged. He's just being mismanaged.
But because again, they said he was already carrying an injury in the Europa League final.
Yeah.
If
it
it depends on people's assessments. If people have assessed him and said, "Bruh, this guy isn't fully fit," then are you sure they would have told Southgate, like, "Look, this guy's 85%. Are you sure you want to take an 85% guy?" Or do you think they said, "Oh no, I'm fine. I'm 100%."
A part of me thinks it's like the cynic thinks it's branding. I think when certain players, for example, reach a certain level of influence, that if they're
Talking
able
to Barack
to play,
Obama and so forth.
yeah, so it's like you have to have them there because it's kind of like, and obviously if the player's like, I want to go, it's kind of like to then sort of say, oh no, you can't, for the sake of sort of, it's like, you're screwing things up. It's same thing with how many England squads in the past where you had Rooneys, you had the Beckhams, you had all these players that were clearly injured going in. They were like, no, we need to keep them there, for the sake of the brand, for the sake of all these things. So, but logically, to be honest, he doesn't need to. Lingard could go there, or even, like I said, you can play Grealish on the left, you can play Foden on the left. He doesn't need to play there. I'd personally like to see Phil Foden play on the left, or maybe Foden play on the left, and then Harry Kane up front, and then Sancho on the right, and then, you can bring on Bukayo Saka on the right as well, and do your thing. And obviously, Calvert-Lewin will be substitute for Kane, presumably.
But actually, no, but on that point, let's even bring up the lineup to see how they will line up. So now this is what I put, and then you can tell me what I think. Now this is what I would do. So it's not what Southgate would do, it's what I would do. So obviously, Pickford, you're in goal. You have to have Maguire and Stones. And I think that, I would, you see, this is because this for me should either be Reece James or Kyle Walker. And for me, see, Reece James could be a slight risk and so forth in trying to start him, but I was thinking, look, the way he handled himself in that Champions League final, got to roll with him. Of course, you've got to roll with Shaw. So I think with what you get with Reece James and Shaw is really good quality going forward, and especially crossing. I think Walker, is a better defender than Reece James, but I think Reece James is better going forward and also is a better crosser than him. And I think Shaw is better two ways. Now, the midfield. Now, this can either be a Henderson or Rice. So you just need a defensive-minded dude just to help protect these dudes who they'll need the protection. And I want to go, and I think that you have to go with, I think you have to go with a defensive-minded midfielder and a guy who is good on the ball and can distribute well and is a bit more mobile and is much more of a footballing midfielder. If you go with Henderson and Rice, it's far too negative, And I think with Jude Bellingham, you now have somebody that can bring the ball up forward and is a bit more forward-minded. And then obviously you have Grealish at the top of the keeper. Again, he can come in deep, receive the ball deep, but I think this is the guy who you want to now get to connect these three. Now, look, I said again, Mount has to start. There's no way Mount not start. So, and I think that to put people in their best possible position, rather than playing Mount in the midfield here, I think Mount should be here because this is where he plays for Chelsea. So he either plays here or here for Chelsea. So as part of like the attacking midfielder just behind the striker, and he's played that well. So I think rather than putting him deep, putting him up high, you have to roll with Sancho. You have to roll with Sancho and you roll with Kane. And the idea is obviously these guys talking, lots of movements in this area here. They really play with each other. And you know that Kane can come in deep, Mount can run through, Sancho can run through, and obviously your width is through Reece James and Shaw. And what you now have is a pretty interesting, inventive, creative, fluid team. That obviously you have the protection of Henderson and Jude here in case you have any counters. So that's not what Southgate is going to do. He may do a back three, but I feel that for England, back three, you're confusing yourself and it's too risky. Keep it to something that people understand. Keep it to a back four. That's how you roll. Everything, yeah, Reece James obviously knows how to play back three, but I think keep it as a back four. Keep it simple and so forth, and then roll through. Although You know, he might do a backflip. I mean, I saw guys. I mean, how? Oh, sorry, but before I roll, let me just hit this dub. So, dub from Hearty Momo. Thank you for the dub, Hearty Momo. Says HH Mo did a full vid on the AFTV expulsion. They even took his first video down with a few clips of AFTV. He re-uploaded with the voiceover. Please do an update. Yeah. I mean, I might do an update on that. I mean, I have seen the vid. I did watch it. I watched it again, and yeah, man, it is. It's what is it? It's a very, very unfortunate situation that happened there, man. You know, because I mean, losing Mo, who was very, very good for AFTV, that's unfortunate, man. Ford, talk to me.
I like your 11 a lot, HH. I must say. I think I would actually have Walker at right back and Chilwell at left back, but it's much of a muchness, to be honest. It's just your preference. I think Walker, just his experience, I think, which is something that this England team does lack a bit, would be key. And obviously his recovery pace, which is exceptional. I mean, we saw him even catch Pulisic in the Champions League final, which was pretty ridiculous. And I think that's going to be key to cover with someone like Stones there, possibly see their partnership. And then left back, I just prefer Chilwell to Shaw, but honestly, Shaw's been pretty good this season. Faded a bit towards the end, but again, I wouldn't mind him at all. Midfield, I personally would go with 3 midfielders and 1 DM holding, and then you have 2 8s you can push on. And I think the best guy for holding in this England team will probably be Declan Rice. So for me, he would start at number 6. Then my 2 8s would be Mason Mount and Phil Foden. I think those guys operating as 8s where they can tuck in a little bit and then push on. I think that can work wonders. And again, for me, it's not just about having just one 11. It's about having a team that can play against certain teams, against bigger teams, and against smaller teams. Personally, I think with Croatia, I think we can go with 1 DM. And maybe against France, and maybe that's when you want to go with a Henderson and a Rice, or maybe Rice, Phillips, or whichever. And then you go with a more of a counter-attacking option. But yeah, personally, I would go with 3 in midfield, Rice sitting, Mason Mount, Phil Foden, then Grealish left wing where he plays for Aston Villa, allow him to be able to roam around, drop into the pockets, connect with the midfielders, and obviously create. Sancho off the right wing, and then Kane up front. And again, when you look at this team, it's not got a lot of pace, but you don't need a lot of pace. I think the most important thing when it comes to Southgate, we're going to see if he's actually a really good coach and he understands the game, is how he manages Harry Kane up front, because we know Harry Kane loves to drop deep into the number 10 position, try and almost play like how Rooney used to play back in the day, where he's not really a number 9, he's more like a number 10. And obviously at Tottenham it works because they play a counter-attacking system, and obviously you've got Son running in behind. And again, if Rashford's fully on form, fully fit, then maybe it could work and you can do that. But with Mason Mount and Sancho, they're not inside forwards like that. So for me, Southgate, you got to tell Harry Kane to play like a number 9. I know you want to drop deep and create, but you've already got Grealish there, Mount, Sancho, potentially Foden, who can go and create for you. Stay in the box, be a penalty box striker, and just score goals.
I think that is very key, because I mean, you see, my thing about it is that obviously, ideally, you'd want to have Sterling and Rashford there. I just don't think that's there. If I was picking a team, they would not make my first team. So obviously, if you had Sterling and Rashford there, you now have the speed that will allow Kane to drop in deep and be able to now play balls for them to now run into space. Mount and Sancho, they're not as fast as Rashford or Sterling. They're much more tactical players. So as you said, rightfully, for Kane, you wouldn't turn the, but you have to form a presence in it, because you're going to get supply from Shaw, from Reece James, from Mount, from Grealish, and from Sancho. So it's very important that you are just there as a focal point in it, because if you now drop in deep, these are not the kinds of guys who like to run in and can run into the box and save us. So these are guys that want to stay outside and create or take shots from out of the box. Remember, Mount is a guy who will shoot on sight.
Just to add to that, by the way, Harry Kane in 2017 scored the most goals in Europe, I think 54. And that was with Eriksen creating for him. So just play like how you played in 2017. You don't need to drop too deep. Play as a penalty box striker, and you will score goals in this system.
So, so what is this?
That's the squad numbers. So I thought it was interesting, because if you look at the first 11, that could easily be Southgate starting 11. So you look at it. So it could be a 4-3-3. So you've got Walker and Shaw, so right, left back. Obviously Stones and Maguire as the 2 centre backs. Then Declan Rice and Henderson in the midfield. Grealish playing in front, and then Sterling, Rashford, and Kane. With probably Rashford playing on the right, which he's done so many times this season anyway. Sterling on the left, and Kane up top. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that lineup, to be honest. And is that, again, my issue with Rashford aside, I don't think that's a bad team. I think that could work.
Yeah.
Even though I put Sancho,
but
the only thing
yeah.
I'd do is I'd probably take Sancho instead of Rashford. But aside from that, you know, I think that can work.
No. I mean, it's a pretty decent team, except for the fact that Sterling and Rashford are there by name, but not really by meritocracy. Because I just don't think that they deserve to start personally. You know, so where would you roll with it then? I mean, like with regards to the lineup, Red Devil.
So to be honest, I would, similar to that squad I showed, aside from the fact that I don't have no issue with Sterling playing on left, to be honest. But I would put Jadon Sancho instead. So basically, I'd play Pickford, Maguire, and Stones. It's going to happen. Then Kyle Walker with Luke Shaw. Then a midfield for me, I'd rather have Henderson and Declan Rice, to be honest. And then play Grealish in front, and then use your pace. Essentially, I'm doing an ollie almost. The two holding to do their thing, and then I'd play Sterling, Sancho, and then Kane up top. I personally think England's strength going into this is going to be the quick transition and counter attack.
Yeah, 100%.
So you might as well play to the strengths. Sorry, go on.
So if it's three at the back, who will the three at the back be? Because people say that it's going to play three at the back. So if it's three at the back, who would the three at the back be then?
For me,
I'll let you go.
I was going to say it probably Shaw, Maguire, and Kyle Walker.
What?
Because Luke Shaw's played as like quite a few games this season. Luke Shaw played as like a left-sided centre back so many times. Maguire obviously is a centre. I think for me he actually played a less in a back three quite a few times. I think he'd do a lot better job in that position than say John Stones will. I think John Stones needs to be playing in a back four. And then obviously Kyle Walker's also played as a free back as well.
Okay, so then the two midfielders are going to be what? Henderson and Rice?
Probably. He's played Dyer and Henderson in this position before as well. He has. He's played a back three and then he's played Dyer and Henderson.
If this dude rolls up, these guys are not sniffing anything. If this guy rolls up with Henderson and Rice as your two midfielders, three at the back, which goes to a back five, and you have all that attacking talent, man. That's for me. I'm sorry, that's just garbage. That's just garbage.
Fully. And that's my fear with this England team, because if you play like that, then it's just not good. It's just not good. I mean, you look at the attacking three, like you're asking a lot of Mason Mount in that position, and yeah, he plays it for Chelsea, but like Chelsea went against the big teams, he plays a counter-attacking system, so we can kind of get away with the amount of space that he gets. But if you want somebody to actually go and create and do a lot for you, then you would want a Grealish in that position, which again I don't know if he would even do. But my main issue with this is again that double pivot in front of the three. I mentioned it earlier. You need somebody who's more of a ball progressor. You could even run with Mount and Bellingham in those two positions there, because I think Mason Mount, while he isn't able to play a double pivot that great right now in front with four defenders behind him, I think he can absolutely play with three defenders behind him. He's done it well for England in the past, actually. So yeah, it's going to be a shame if he does play like that, and that's my fear going into it. But I will just add one other point that I didn't make earlier, which is that again, this is in an ideal where we do play four at the back, and obviously our front four. I think we all had a similar front four, whether it's Mount, Grealish, Sancho, potentially Foden in there. I do think Rashford, I think, can be a big player at this tournament, and it's not the case for him to be a starter.
If he's fully fit, though.
I think if he's just somewhere near fully fit, then I think because he's done it for quite a while. I've seen him play a lot of games for United while he's not fully fit, but still have a good impact. And the point I'm trying to make is, as a super sub, like someone who can come off the bench, final 20 minutes, he's had a lot of good games for United this season doing that. Remember, he had one of his best performances against West Ham away. That's obviously when Pogba scored that amazing goal. And obviously, who could forget the hat-trick against Leipzig in the Champions League? That was all off the bench. So I think someone like him can have a really big impact against higher legs in the last 20 minutes. I just hope Southgate doesn't go in and start him and Sterling together, because there's just not enough ball retention with them two alongside Kane. And then you have a pivot of Henderson and Rice. I think it's a lot of good athletes, a lot of pace, a lot of runners off the ball, but there's not enough actually happening on the ball, which is my main feel for this England team.
So okay. So look, man. Just to round this off, guys, man. So I always ask everyone when we do this whole thing, man. And I'll come first to Red Devil. How far do England go?
It's all about the manager, though. This is the thing, because if we had a good manager, you could easily semi-finals, easily minimum semi-finals. I don't think anyone would think that team would say that semi-finals would be is impossible with that squad played well.
But from what they're saying, because I'm not sure how the whole thing's working, but I've just been reading the live chats. So they say if England finish top, they could face France or Portugal in the round of 16.
How does that? What?
So
presumably if France finish second.
Wait, let's see. So,
I mean, controversial opinion. I don't think Germany's going to get through that group. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, let's not forget, guys. The third place team will go through. I think there's four of the best third place teams go through.
Yeah.
But for England, they're pissed because I think like whether we finish first or second, we're gonna play a team from the group of death, whether it's France, Portugal, or Germany. So it's gonna get tough really quick. So yeah,
not Germany.
So right, with the fact that it says Southgate. It is Southgate is the dude.
Yeah.
So how far do England go?
So bear in mind that they're not. So basically, 16 you've got France, Germany, or Portugal. Well, round of 16 then. That's it then. That's over.
What? So England can't defeat any of those three. Okay. Let's say England face Germany. Remember Germany, who finished bottom of their group in 2018, and who still have ball sniffer Yogi Love. You still would say Germany would beat England.
What's the fourth team in that Germany group?
Hungary.
Yeah, no, Germany. I don't think Germany qualify from that group. You can't sit on Hungary. The centre back pairing is what? Rudiger and
Hummels.
Is it Hummels or Salt or Seoul?
Sometimes play centre back, so it can be Rudiger, Sule, and Hummels.
There's just something that tells me that, like, because I don't see Germany beating France, I don't see them going to beating Portugal, and to be honest, Hungary are not a bad side. Like, what is it? Is it Timo Werner that's going to be leading the line against Germany?
I mean, basically, because I've already recorded my the Germany preview thing, and we actually had a nice discussion as to how are Germany going to line up attacking wise. So. If it's Limo Lerner,
I'm not saying it isn't, but like I think people are just writing off Hungary as if Hungary are this sort of dead team. When if you look at the previous Euros,
don't look bad. But I mean, Germany should make it through. Come on. No, look. Yeah, go on. Let's just focus on this. So how far do England? So in your view, are you still saying round of 16? Whoever you meet in round of 16, that's round of 16 max.
I mean, I can't see England with this coach beating France. I think Portugal again because of the coach. This all comes to the coach, not the players. Put the players aside. With a better coach, yes, but for me, the French not that Deschamps is a great coach, but the players will take them quality wise. I think the Portugal coach is more experienced than Southgate and is more tactically aware. So he probably would do one with the Portugal side, which is a good side. So you're left with, can Southgate beat a Hungary or a Germany side? Possibly, because obviously of your Gilo being a thing, but there's not much confidence. So would I be surprised if those are the options? Round of 16.
So what are you saying? Okay, so you're saying so you're settling on round of 6.
If that's the pathway, there's no other pathway. Then because purely because of Southgate.
Ford, are you going to be braver? Quarters, semis?
So, absolutely last 16. My thing with England is like, again, they should be targeting their semis. Really, what they need to be targeting is actually knocking out or beating an elite nation at one of these tournaments. Because they got to the semis of the World Cup. Great achievement on paper. It was an amazing summer. Beers are flying everywhere. Like, it was crazy. But who did they really beat?
Nobody.
The best team we beat on paper was Colombia without James Rodriguez, and I don't really count that as an elite win. The last time England beat a top nation at a tournament, an international tournament, was Argentina in 2002. But even that was in the group stages when Owen scored those goals, and that was the year where he won the Ballon d'Or at a young age. The last time England beat a top nation at a tournament was in the Euros against Netherlands 4-1, 25
96.
years ago. Yeah, 25 years ago, guys. That's awful. So I think that's to be the target, which is to beat whether, again, if it's looking like this is going to be the draw, then to beat a Portugal or Germany or potentially France. That's what England need to go and do. But
Also,
is it going to happen on the Southgate? No.
See, this is why I've always said that. I've never understood how England are favorites. That's why, like, because obviously when we do the previews and everything, like in the first part of the hangar, the main focus are who I believe are the favorites of the big nations. So that's obviously France, Portugal, Spain, Germany. But England are in the category with Croatia, with maybe even Belgium and so forth, because you've never won a Euros and you have no cachet to be put as first because you finish in the semi-finals. No, that means nothing to me because as you said, you haven't. The last time England beat an elite nation in a knockout round was 1996. The Netherlands
can't be favorites though. We can't put Germany as favorites for this tournament. So like,
no, not favorites. But for me, I'm putting Germany above England because it's Germany. So as much as they flopped in 2018 and maybe they don't look too good, you have to respect 4 World Cups. You've got to respect the amount of Euros they've won, and you've just got to respect their pedigree as a nation. So because
as long as Timo Werner is leading that line.
Look,
okay, wait.
Timo Werner to one side.
Okay, for me, let me just say 2 things first and foremost here. Red Devils, put some respect on his name, all right? You're talking about a Champions League winner here, bro. First and
Champions League winner that missed an open goal against North Macedonia in qualifying.
Oh no, bro, he's a bum, but he's my bum at the end of the day. So I got to defend him at least here. All right, he's terrible, but hey, he's got the medal to speak for it. Which again, your boys Rashford and Cole, they don't have any European medals this season. Just
easy. Okay, let this not scale back it because this could involve with something else.
Okay, even talking about Germany, okay, look, I understand your point. Again, making them favourites ahead of England is debatable just because of how tough their group is. But in a head-to-head game, I would still pick Germany just because, again, the pedigree, mainly the manager. They got a manager who, if it's 20 minutes to go, it's 1-1. Who's going to make the right substitutes? Who's going to actually give the team the confidence to go and win that game? And I trust Joachim Low 10 times out of 10 over someone like Southgate.
Because when we looked at the Germany thing, okay, he puts Werner to one side. Musiala, Sané, Gnabry, Muller, Havertz. You look at their midfield. Joshua Kimmich, Kroos, Ilkay Gundogan. Like when we broke down the names, I say, "Whoa, guys, wait a minute! There are some names here." There is the defense that's iffy.
The defense is a big problem.
The defense, but when you cut the guys having the attack and the midfield, like that's midfield. Those are like Kimmich, Kroos, and Gundogan. You would argue are amongst the best midfielders in the world, And we know what Havertz has done. We know what Sané can do. We know what Gnabry can do, and you know what Muller can do. So. And my thing is, what I always say to guys, never ever put Germany as underdogs or underrated. Because remember, 2018 World Cup, they were favorites. You will not say, nah, Germany, forget this, guys. You never want to do that. But guys, look, man, it's going to be a big ass summer and so forth. That is what it is. We just have to see what your boy Southgate does and everything. So, guys, remember to join my Euro 2020 Fantasy League. Link is below in the description box. Join my Fantasy League. Link is below in the description box. The cutoff date is June 11th. And all we can say is... Actually, no, last thing. Is it coming home?
No.
Forward, is it coming home?
Heck no. It's England, bro. There's always this hype. There's always this expectation, but it's just always...
All I'm saying is half hope because I do believe that Mason Mount will bring her home. Mount's going to bring her home. Guys, please.
Double H.